Welcome to Fangirl Football. I'm Judy.
I'm Tiffany.
And I'm Lauren.
Welcome back for Week 2 DFS lineup prep. We'll be digging into the games and player projections today, reviewing what games look good, what contests or tournaments look good, and building a couple of lineups at team and player level. This past week, we kicked off having free daily fantasy contests, and we'll be keeping the party going throughout the season there. It's been a lot of fun to get to play with our listeners. Check out our website at fangirlfootball.com to join. Lastly, we have a new gaming platform and game style to play this week. No player knowledge needed. We built a lineup in it yesterday, and it was so much fun to pick teams instead of players. It's called Fantasy Sports EVO. Experience the evolution. Use the promo code FANGIRL during signup to let them know we sent you. There's a link in the description, but you can also go to fantasysportsevo.com. They have a $100 deposit match going on currently, and we'll have a private free contest this week for the Sunday slate and Sunday, Monday as well. We have our DFS expert, Quinten, joining us again this week to help us review. Without any more delay, how'd y'all do last week?
Yeah, last week was difficult for me. So on FanDuel, I cashed in all the tournaments that I played in, but in DraftKings, I didn't win anything. I don't know what was going on there, if they have some differences in pricing that are throwing me or what's going on. How'd you do, Quinten?
Yeah, last week was not my week. We're getting the feet wet, and my cash lineups kind of missed by a few points, so that was disappointing, and hopefully we can get back this week. But tournament lineups were kind of hit or miss, but looking forward now that we've kind of seen what the teams look like, and we have a little bit more information to go from there and looking into week 2.
I did well on my showdowns, my Thursday night showdown and my Sunday night showdown, but I'm definitely still learning. I'm the beginner here.
I liked Mondays until they just kept kicking field goals, and the captain kicker is going to kill me every time.
Yeah, that only happens, 3 times a year, though. So we got one of them out of the way, and hopefully no more kickers in the captain spot cash in well, because that was really frustrating.
Yeah, last week as a whole was a weird week. We saw significantly less passing touchdowns, significantly less passing volume in general, and I think we've had the most field goals in a week 1 in 15 years. So it was surprising to see.
Crazy.
Hopefully we get back more to normal this week.
Well, if it follows history, we should. I think last year in 23, the 23 season started out pretty much about the same. I don't know on the field goals, but there were definitely less passing touchdowns on week 1. And then it came back pretty strong in week 2. So hopefully it's going to happen this week too as well. We've got a lot of one-sided games that we're going to talk about. So that may bring us a little bit more passing touchdowns. We'll see. So let's look at our new contest style. We're going into Fantasy Sports EVO. And this is something new to all of us. I've been in here kind of playing around today. I am in the lobby, and you can see I deposited my $100, and they've already matched my $100. So now I have $200 in here as funds. We'll see how I do, and maybe I'll have some more to withdraw soon. One of the contests, because I don't particularly play a lot of cash contests, I like to play the tournaments. So I was more interested in the ones here that have 500, and you can see that the Fangirl contest are listed in the lobby too under private. But so I'm kind of interested in this one, the NFL touchdowns. So they're guaranteeing $500, and the top 5 win $100. And there are only 3 entries, so I'm kind of excited about that. I don't know how many they get entered in here, but to have it guaranteed, so it's going to go off even if it doesn't fill in its 500 contest. So let's see how this kind of contest works. They have a few different ones, and they have a few different sports you could see over here on the left too. So I'm going to enter this contest. We can see that our lineup only has 3 slots, and those slots, the first one, they're all touchdowns. And we always talk about, know your scoring. So let's look at the details for this contest. And the scoring categories here. So it's all touchdowns. Passing touchdowns are 4 points. Rushing touchdowns are 6 points. And if your team has 5 touchdowns or more, then they're going to get a bonus 5.5 points. I should have also looked at the games that we're targeting here. So it's Sunday games, and it's only the 1 o'clock and 4 o'clock. So no Sunday night game, no Thursday or a Monday night game. So let's go ahead and look at this. So the first slot is also going to be like your lead captain, and it's going to have a multiplier of 2.5 points times however many touchdowns they have. The next slot in your lineup is going to have the multiplier of 1.5, and the final one is just touchdowns. So we're basically trying to order the top 3 teams that are going to produce the most touchdown points. And remember, passing are only worth 4 and rushing are worth 6. And we've got all these teams to choose from. I will also just go ahead and let you know that you can't put the same team into more than one of these spots. You have to choose 3 different teams here.
So when you're going through here, how much are you trying to weight that rushing bonus? Are you looking for those more run heavy, or are you primarily just looking for good offenses in general?
Hey, that's kind of what we're trying to figure out here. Since I've never played this, I don't know. I mean, if we rarely have a team that's, going to rush for 5 touchdowns. I guess it does happen, but it doesn't happen that often. I would say I'm looking for the teams that have the most potential to score 5 touchdowns. How do you feel about that? Or do you think, I guess if you had 3 passing and 2 rushing, now you're looking at 24 points. And if you just had 4 rushing, then you're looking at 24 points, but that other one's going to hit your bonus.
Yeah. I guess when you were first reading those rules, I was thinking the rushing leaning would be a good tiebreaker between offenses if you were stuck. But
yeah,
probably just points in general would be my initial approach.
Probably. It's interesting. And so it kind of leads us to breaking down these games a little bit. I've got to tell you one that I haven't been on for building my other, I've been slightly on building my lineups is the Chargers against the Carolina Panthers. And I immediately go to this one because in this situation, I like the Chargers. They had a strong rushing day with J.K. Dobbins, and Gus Edwards had his carries. He just didn't do much with them. And they're now up against the Panthers. So I like that one. I don't know how you feel about that one, but I've been using J.K. Dobbins in some of my daily lineups, but not stacking that game for sure. But this is an interesting situation because I'm just looking for teams that have potential to do really well.
I think in my head, the other one that I think about is against the Giants. The Giants just did so poorly last week that I'm kind of thinking Washington, I know it's a rookie quarterback, but do we think Washington will do better than
I like
LA Chargers versus Carolina?
I like the Jaden Daniels. He did look good rushing the ball last weekend, and he had those 2 rushing touchdowns. He probably is going to have a little bit easier time of passing this week against the Giants, I would think. Quinten, what do you think?
My only worry about those 2 teams that you brought up is in both those games, the Giants and Carolina look so bad that those games might be over by the 3rd quarter. And they're just both kind of looking at each other, waiting for the game to end. I'm kind of leaning more towards Detroit. Hopefully that Tampa Bay could kind of pace them and keep their offense going, especially with a banged up secondary for Tampa Bay. I do like Detroit for the total amount of points this week and kind of would lean their way for most touchdowns.
I like that too. I also like Kansas City, Cincinnati. I have to go back to Joe Burrow this week, and I do like him in our lineups that we'll be building later. I'm going to give them another chance. They're going to have a different game plan than they had going in against New England. And I think New England was expected to be a low score game, but they better come in against Kansas City with a different plan because it's not going to go down the same way. And Kansas City could just run the score up. And I think that Cincinnati will be good for a few touchdowns. But I guess we're not picking a game. We're picking a team, which is the interesting part here.
So in that one, would you feel comfortable picking Kansas City Chiefs over for one of the touchdown teams? Is the Bengals defense not going to show up?
I mean, choosing Kansas City for a high offense is never going to be too bad of a choice.
It's not. All right. So I like Detroit. Should we go ahead and build this? Try to?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
We put Detroit in there. And let's go Kansas City down here. So now I've got Detroit and Kansas City.
So do you think Tampa Bay could keep up enough to be that third team? Or do you like more of your heavy favorites with Washington or the Chargers?
I like the heavy favorites.
I still like the Chargers, but
Let's put them in there, yeah.
Jim Harbaugh is the one that doesn't like to run up the score. So you're right. I can see them not doing a whole lot.
Yeah, but I mean, the Saints got to 47 points. I think the Chargers could do it. That
they
can be
did.
their week 2 pep rally.
Well, I'm actually going to throw another wrench in there because I'm here in Carolina and we've got the remnants of the hurricane possibly moving in on Sunday. That makes me shy away from that game.
Oh, gotcha.
If it's downpours of rain, I don't think the score goes where we need it to win this.
Yeah.
Is that a open air stadium?
It is.
It is.
So that might be a very wet game. We saw how much people were sliding around in Brazil. Might be a little more slip and slide than expected.
It definitely could be. It could be kind of ugly. So maybe we should go back to Tampa Bay. I can also see Dallas potentially running things up there.
Yeah, Dallas looked good, and they did not have to do too much last week, but I can see them getting up there this week.
It'd all be going to CeeDee Lamb with the tight end injured.
I feel good about Dallas in the spot.
You like Dallas?
Kind of round it out. Yeah, Detroit, Kansas City, and Dallas. Those are all
right. Let's do it.
Some solid offenses.
Okay.
I get to keep my own picks in my back pocket then. Have a different lineup than y'all.
We'll submit it there.
Exactly.
But it is
the slate didn't
easy.
seem like a cut and dry winner. So for whoever wants to get in their entries, there's plenty of options.
Yes, there definitely are. And it's easier. You're just picking 3 teams. Although we did spend some good time going through it. The one thing that I couldn't figure out, but I think I have now figured out just because there are only 4 entries, was if I could enter it multiple times. And I'm going to go back here and see if it tells me that I can't enter. No, yeah, I can't enter again. So this is a single entry, which is kind of interesting. $1 to win 100. All right.
Nice. I kind of like the single entry for that.
Yeah, it is nice. And a lot of these other ones are, let's filter to NFL, but you can play other sports as well. They're small, they're small contests. And here's one that's classic. I don't know what classic is. Let's see, just because I'm kind of curious, we'll see what kind of lineup we would have to enter here. So we've got passing. We're only picking a team. We've got 6 teams available. And I don't know if you can put them in multiple spots, but we've got rushing, receiving, kicking. So this is, again, just going on the stats, and you get the whole team, not just one of the players.
I'm excited to do some of these. This looks really fun.
Yeah, it is fun. It's very different. I like it. All right, well, let's move on to our more traditional contest that we do have to know a bit more about the players and the games. We already talked a bit about the games. We'll just list them pretty like the top 5 in the expected total points are Detroit or Tampa Bay at Detroit, Cincinnati at Kansas City, Los Angeles Rams at Arizona. Quinten, are you on this game at all? Thinking this is good for DFS?
Yes, I really like some of the options for the Rams. So the way that the pricing works for the players is they have to set those early Tuesday morning, and they didn't have the news that Puka was going to be on IR when they set those. So a lot of the pricing for the Rams just looks wrong. For Cooper Kupp, going to be the number one clear option, saw 21 targets last week. And their tight end there, who ran the most routes of any tight end last week, down at a very affordable price. So I think some of the prices for the Rams are very affordable. And if that game does get out of control, it lets you buy up on the other games as well and kind of have those premier options in the other games.
All right, that's cool. I have not noticed the pricing on Kupp, but those targets are crazy with Puka Nacua out, so I do like that. The next one that's the total is New Orleans at Dallas, and I expect this to be pretty one-sided. I mean, New Orleans looked great against Carolina, but everyone looks great, or everyone probably will look great against Carolina. So I'm not sure how this got a 46.5 point total unless they're just expecting Dallas to score that many points by themselves.
Yeah, I think there's a couple teams that we're going to have to see, with New Orleans being one of them, of are they actually good, or was it more of just a matchup and it was that they were playing the Panthers week 1? Same with Tampa Bay. Are they that good, or are we going to find out that maybe even the Giants could pass against that Washington defense?
I'm afraid of that. That is a good question, though. I'm glad you brought that game up, because do you think that Washington and the Giants game can stay competitive and be a sneaky game to stack?
I think so. And especially for tournaments, you can definitely get really weird in your tournament lineups. And it's an ugly game. No one really is going to want to play those players, but there's a lot of value. And Daniel Jones had a good rebound last season, so he had a very poor week 1 performance, and then he was a dynamic fantasy option in week 2 last year. So maybe you can do it again, and especially with neighbors, there's a lot of cheap options in there, and you can get some pretty good stacks. I really like Brian Robinson. It's probably going to be one of the few games that Washington's favored this year, but in wins last year, he did very well.
Okay. On the injury news, watch out for Neighbors. He popped up questionable today. Any other games that we think? What do you think about Green Bay, Indianapolis at Green Bay?
That one's hard because Richardson, when healthy, has been nothing but a top option, but I just don't think they're going to have to do too much with Malik Willis on the other start. I think it's going to be a battle of which quarterback can complete over 50% of their passes. And besides that, both teams are just going to want to run, lean into a run-heavy offense. And I don't think it really has the potential to get there to a higher score game.
Okay. No Jonathan Taylor in lineups with Indy running the ball?
I liked Taylor, but as I was kind of building lineups this week, I really found myself paying up at wide receiver and just having to get more of the cheaper options in running back. Is kind of just how it laid out.
I like the cheaper options at running back, so it was easier to do that. I agree.
Can you tell me a bit more why you found yourself buying up for wide receiver? What was it about this week's pricing or situation that pushed you that direction?
It's just a couple of the big names. So typically for your running backs, you want them to be favored. You want them to be at home. Those are kind of your highest chance of succeeding. And then I really like some of the matchups for the big name wide receivers. Cooper Kupp is in a good spot to succeed. He looked great last week, and we know the offense is going to go through him. And then I really think Amon-Ra is going to get a bounce back game, and I like his spot. What do you think, Judy?
Yeah, I'm all over Amon-Ra this week. He was at 4.3 points, I believe, DraftKings points last week. And I feel like everything tends to go back to average. So even though he's 8,100 on DraftKings and 9,000 on FanDuel, if we assume that 18 points is average for him, then we're looking at 32 points this week to get back to average. And 32 points, we only saw a high of 36 points last week. And 36 is a pretty good ceiling for anybody. So I can see Amon-Ra definitely hitting that this week. All right. So I think we've highlighted the games I wanted to highlight. There are parts of Houston again against the Chicago Bears, but the Bears are another one. I know their offense stunk, but I don't know if their defense is good or if the Titans are bad yet.
One thing to watch for injury news into the weekend too is which Chicago Bears receivers are actually going to be playing. So DJ Moore's the only one out there, and Allen and Odunze are out. I do really like that option. He was able to get it done with Justin Fields last year and be a top option. So it is kind of intriguing if he's the only wide receiver out there.
Yeah, that's true. I like that too. A tight end that I feel could have a bounce back game would be Evan Ingram. And I know Jacksonville's playing Cleveland. And until last week, I was afraid of the Cleveland defense and thought their defense was pretty good. And then Dallas just had their way with their defense. So I still like Evan Ingram if it is even a more defensive game and with Jacksonville. And he was only worth 1.5 points last week. He's definitely a better tight end than that.
Yeah, I think that was part of Miami's game plan, but Jacksonville's defense looked good. Cleveland looked bad. Watson did not look accurate at all. So I think Jacksonville will probably be dominating in time of possession, and Evan Ingram will have a good shot to rack it up for receptions this week.
Do defenses follow the same rule of going back towards the average or the mean? Like if they had a really bad week, do we see defenses come back the next week and have a good week?
Not necessarily, no. Not good like we're talking. So if you're never expecting your defense to score 18 points. We're pretty much focused on the players that were drafted in the first 3 rounds of our fantasy drafts. If they're way off of their season projections, that's one of the queries that I run in my databases. I'm always looking for how far off is somebody from their season projections and where they should be. Because those season projections I found are historically pretty darn accurate. They don't, miss them by a whole lot. So I'm constantly each week going, who's way below, who could come back and have a good game.
But Lauren, to your point, some of the factors that I'm looking for a defense is looking for opportunities for sacks and turnovers. And Deshaun Watson holds the ball a lot. He takes a lot of sacks recently. So there is an opportunity for that. And he was not the most accurate. And the corners for Jacksonville look great. So I think you have kind of a recipe for both those in that defense.
Yeah.
Stream Jacksonville defense is what I'm hearing.
Yeah, absolutely. They are a good option this week.
If you can't get the Chargers, go after Jacksonville. All right, should we go build something? Okay, we're going to first go to FanDuel, and let's see if we can find a contest that we want to enter. I'm not looking for a single game. I want a full roster and the main slate on Sunday. I'm going to go for a tournament contest. I always like the ones that have guaranteed overlay because more likely to cash in them. So let's go ahead and just do this $3 entry here. Let's clear my lineup that I already had in there, and we'll build a new one. What game do you want to target?
So do we have one kind of question I have for the lineups is Christian McCaffrey going to be playing? And that might be an important factor, because if he's not, Jordan Mason would be an incredible value. He'd be kind of a free square for everyone's lineup to kind of fill in. But maybe we go under the assumption that he is playing.
Oh, that McCaffrey's
I'd argue
playing.
we go.
Yeah.
I'd argue we'd say no, especially with Achilles tendonitis.
Yeah. And they'll probably be able to
I
get it
would-
done without him against Minnesota.
They should be able
Yeah.
to, and I don't think he's playing.
So do you
I'd
like
be
Mason?
I like Mason. I probably have some running backs that I like more, but let's see how much he cost. If I can spell him right. Jordan Mason. 5,500.
I think I would be happy to pay that price for the lead San Francisco running back. It might be something
agree.
to monitor and make sure that he is going to get that role. I don't know if I would. I think there are other options to pivot to if they're even like sharing time.
Yeah, I really don't think McCaffrey's playing. Achilles tendonitis isn't something that magically gets better, and I guess he must be close to playing, and maybe they're just, being cautious, and if they feel like they can get through the game without him, then they're making him inactive. Let's go with Mason. But we still need our stacking option, or were you trying to see how much money for stacking that you had available?
Sometimes I kind of just like to look at the priority and then see what I'm left with. But I think stacking would be a good way to attack this now and try to build the base for our lineup.
So I
So
know
what game are you leaning towards?
I lean towards the Kansas City Cincinnati game, but I know you like probably stacking. There's evidence that you should go on your home side, but I like the comeback side, and I feel like Burrow is going to have to pass against Kansas City. I could also take Mahomes and go that route as well. The other one would be the Tampa Bay and Detroit game. So kind of which one do you think is going to be stronger and that fewer people are going to be playing? And since this is a tournament, if we want to think fewer people playing, then maybe we're going back to that Giants and Washington game. But I think I would have to be on the Washington side. I don't think I can do Daniel Jones.
I'm happy to go for the Kansas City Cincinnati game. I think the most popular game will probably actually be the Tampa Bay Detroit game in a dome, highest over under. But we know they're two high powered offenses, and we're probably getting them at a little bit of a discount.
That's true. All right, so let's see. Let's just look at that game and see who we got. So now we have to decide. Burrow's sitting down at 7,400 and Mahomes at 8,700.
For general scale, real quick, is 8,700 high for a quarterback or
It is.
average?
It is.
Okay. We'll take
I think
it
he's
off
like
and
one
you'll
of the top
see.
three.
Yeah, he's the second. Only Lamar Jackson is more expensive at quarterback than Patrick Mahomes. And you can scroll down through here and see, Baker Mayfield, 7,400, Joe Burrow, 7,400. That's kind of the bottom of where I would be comfortable playing, though. I mean, here's Daniel Jones, though, if you want to get down to 6,900. But I'd rather pay $500 more and get one of those other quarterbacks we were just talking about. If I have to get down in this area, I'm probably going with Sam Darnold because I just don't believe in anyone else. And I really don't believe in him, but he's probably the best in that little group. But I think we should go back up here and pay for somebody up here. The question is, what I think happens a little bit here, and let's go over and look at the wide receivers that we might be stacking with. Let's go back to just that Kansas City, Cincinnati game. What happens is we save. If we take Joe Burrow, we save, but then we have to take Jamar Chase, and he's one of the most expensive wide receivers. If we go on the Kansas City side of the ball, we pay for Mahomes, but his top receiver here, Rashee Rice, is 6,900. And we could get Xavier Worthy at 6,200 if we wanted both of them.
I think I would lean on the Mahomes side and then going to Rashee Rice. I think if he is going to be the top quarterback, you're probably going to need Rashee Rice to catch a couple of them, and then him to find another one in either Hollywood Brown, Kelsey, or Marquise or Xavier Worthy.
Yeah.
Is Hollywood back?
I don't know.
He's questionable this week,
Okay.
which I
Another
would
one
be
to keep
kind of
your eye on.
surprised if he played, but the team
Yeah.
is indicating so.
I don't think he'll play that much, but he might pull something away from Xavier Worthy. I almost feel like we have to take both Worthy and Rice just to make sure we get all the production. Because the majority of the production I feel like is going to come from both of them again. And I like the whole double stack there. Let's double it and see. I also like that he's only $6,200, and I don't know that I can get somebody better. I don't think I can get somebody better at that price. So let's go with him. And we'll see what else we can get. Do you want Kelsey or any tight end from this game? I'm pretty good looking elsewhere for a tight end.
I'm good looking elsewhere. I think I do like Kelsey too for double stacking with Rice instead of Worthy. I'm a little worried about Worthy's targets and opportunities if Marquise Brown is playing at all, but that might be kind of later in our lineup that we can see where we're at and what options we have.
Okay. And I guess I like speculating on injuries, but I don't think he's playing. I'd be super surprised again.
Yeah.
But okay, so let's go with that. Let's get out of there. Who else? We need another running back, a wide receiver, a flex, tight end. You want to just get the tight end out of the way? Is there a tight end that you like?
Likely?
Likely is interesting.
Yay or nay?
I think Andrews will have a better game, and I don't think they'll need to do too much. So I wouldn't be willing to follow up on what we saw from week 1 unlikely.
Going back to that return to the mean.
Yeah, there's definitely a chance that we saw Likely's best game week 1.
I don't think so.
I hope.
We don't have to put him in this lineup, but I don't think so.
I think you'll need a higher scoring game to be able to get there. But
Yeah.
some other options that we have, if we want to really save money, there is Colby Parkinson. He was the Rams tight end who ran the most routes of any tight end. He's very cheap. He's down at like 4,800.
Down here.
Yeah. So he's
How
a
many
good
targets
savings
did he
option.
have?
I don't know how many targets, but he was involved. That's kind of the
Only
weird
had
thing
5.
of, he's not going to have those monster games, but for his price, he could let you get up to the other options. If we're for a tournament, I don't really like him as much, but he's interesting to let you spend up elsewhere.
Yeah. I'm looking. What are my elsewhere options? At 4,800, I mean, at least $400 more, you can get Taysom Hill. And then Brock Bowers had a ton of targets last week for the Raiders. If they were playing anybody else but Baltimore, I'd probably be all on that. But I don't like going up against Baltimore. I don't know what you think
I think
of
he'll
that.
be a good option down the road. It was impressive that day 1 he was their number 1 target, but I think I'll look to save him for later in the season.
All right. So who do you want to go with here?
I'd be leaning more towards Trey McBride, Evan Ingram, or paying up and taking a shot at Kittle as well.
All right. I like Kittle. I don't like Trey McBride. The Rams and Cardinals tend to hit the under whenever they play. It tends to be very close. And for some reason, we're all always thinking it's going to be a high scoring game. So I'm kind of on the under on that game and think of it's a little bit more of a divisional battle. And I tend to not like the divisional games that are highly competitive like that. They're not super explosive, I feel like. I could definitely do Ingram.
I'm happy
Go
to
ahead.
go with Kittle, like especially if we're missing Christian McCaffrey. That's one less piece of the 49ers puzzle we have to worry about. Kittle is going to have a couple of explosive games throughout the season, and we're going to take our shot that this is one of them.
We've got both Mason and Kittle in here now, so we're bringing in a lot of pieces from that game. That leads me to another question then. If we're going in on that game, are there any of the Vikings players that we need to try to cram in here? And I think the only question then would be Justin Jefferson. And
with Jefferson, I would lean out. That 49ers defense looked really good. They kind of shut down Wilson. And I think there's just other better options for paying up at wide receiver this week. Is kind of how I lean. What about you, Lauren?
That's kind of how I am feeling too. I was a little concerned. I think that San Francisco is going to stop a lot of Minnesota's progress. I don't see them doing as well against San Francisco as they did last week.
I just like Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jamar Chase so much better than Justin Jefferson. Like you were saying, Quinten, if we're going to pay up, let's just take one of them.
Yeah.
And if this game is going the way that we're expecting it to go, then I think Jamar Chase is going to get more than the 6 targets and 6 catches that he had last week, or they just should trade him and move on from Jamar Chase. I don't know why they weren't using him more. I don't know that we can afford him, but you want to try?
What about Wilson? They're going against Tennessee. I know it's looking to be a weaker team they're going against. Would that take away from his production maybe, or
it does
make him good with price?
I think Wilson's a good option for the flex. But if we're just kind of establishing the lineup, we've already said that the Cincinnati-Kansas City game is going to be the game we're focusing in on. We've got 2 Kansas City receivers. We got Mahomes. And for them to need to keep passing and need Mahomes to get that numbers, I think Jamar Chase would have to have one of those monster games.
I think so too.
But I think
let's put him in.
We can come back to Wilson whenever we're looking for that final flex piece.
Well, I think in this game, I've got someone that's going to save us some money, and I don't expect to have enough to pay for Garrett Wilson. But hey, if we do, we can definitely look at that. All right. So you want to go back? Let's go back to running backs. And Mixon was used a ton last week in the Texans and Colts game. He's at 8,100 though, and we've only got a 5,800 average left. Do we have any cheaper options that we like here?
Yeah, Mixon's not my favorite. I mean, he looked very impressive for Houston, but I think there's a shot at some of the more explosive guys with kind of breakaway speed. You're getting a little bit of a discount if you want to go Gibbs and get a piece of the Detroit offense and think he's going to break some away. I also like Brian Robinson. He is favored at home against the Giants, tends to do significantly better in wins. He's down at 6,200 at FanDuel, which is a cheaper price than Ezekiel Elliott and Zach Moss, who I don't think are in the same tier as Brian Robinson as a runner. And then I also like James Conner as well. He's a workhorse running back in a plus matchup, and he's been a running back 1 ever since Kyler's returned back to that offense.
I do like him. I'm thinking that's a lower scoring game, but he might have all of the scores. Brian Robinson Jr. scares me. And I forgot who else you already mentioned that also scared me.
When I was talking about Gibbs.
And
yes.
I just feel like that may be a total shootout and no running. So I tend to go at this point, I'm looking for all the work, and James Conner should have all the work. How'd Detroit run against? They must have ran pretty well against the Rams last week.
Detroit kind of bullied the Rams. When it came to overtime, I think they ran just about every single possession and just no disguise. But bullied them down the field, but that was all Montgomery. I think James Conner is kind of a similar runner to Montgomery, so maybe the Cardinals could.
I like that. I feel like we're picking all teams in red here.
I was about to say, if we want to play the injury risk, Charbonnet with Seattle. If Ken Walker III is out, then he's going to be their person running. But I don't know what the New England defense is. I worry they're going to stop him. If you're looking at that price range.
Yeah. No, thank you. Not against New England. I'm officially afraid of New England. I already thought that their defense was good. And I mean, their offense isn't, but their defense is good.
Seattle, New England cannot intrigue me enough to get a piece of that game.
I agree. This is where I like to jump over and pick that defense so I know how much I'm dealing with at flex, and then we can jump back and forth. So,
and just to review our current lineup right now, we've got Mahomes, Jordan Mason, James Conner, Rashee Rice, Xavier Worthy, Jamar Chase, and Kittle. So now just need this defense in the flex.
The defense. I love the Chargers defense at Carolina. We talked about it might rain. That could make it even uglier. So I definitely like the Chargers defense at 4,400.
I do like them. I think there's a couple of good options for defenses this week. I think you can go either side of the ball in the Seattle-New England game and take a chance. I like Jacksonville. I like the Chargers. All have pretty good matchups.
Let's take the Patriots. Sitting down at 3,400, we'll save 1,000. Sorry, Lauren. We're going to go against them, against your Seahawks. And now
they were impressive against the Bengals.
They were 7,700. We could almost afford Wilson, but we can't. But that's still a lot. Oh, look at that. We can take Cooper Kupp.
We have the perfect amount for Cooper Kupp. Yes, I don't have to do my full sales pitch.
Wow, I like this. It seems like players are almost incorrectly priced. I feel like it's these Kansas City wide receivers that are keeping it down because they don't know who. There's no dominant one at this point. Rice did seem pretty dominant, but at the same time, they didn't raise his price a whole lot. And we are saving with Mason in there. And if McCaffrey does play, which we're assuming he won't, then we may have a little risk there. But they may keep him. I think if McCaffrey plays, he'll be very limited.
And I think you're going to get a lot of lineups that kind of follow this general format. So whenever you're looking to build your own lineup, I've kind of seen this general pattern of you get your stack for your game, you choose your game, and then there's a lot of favored workhorse running back. If you want to go Derrick Henry instead of Connor, there's some options there. And then one of the big name wide receivers of Amon-Ra, Justin Jefferson, Cooper Kupp, kind of take your pick to round out your lineup.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to enter this one. Am I going to have to split all my winnings with you three? With you two?
I hope so. Hopefully it's better than last week and we actually get some passing touchdowns.
Yeah,
It'd be good to see a classic Mahomes game of a 5-touchdown game and they go back and forth with the Bengals.
That would be nice. All right, so we're going to move over to DraftKings and build a lineup there. Do we want to build a tournament or would you prefer to do a cash game lineup since we just did a tournament?
Yeah, we can go over a cash lineup and go over some differences you'll see there.
And what's the 2-line difference between tournament and cash again?
The main difference for how you want to build your lineup is you kind of just don't want to be the one that makes a mistake in a cash. Like you're shooting for the stars and getting your lottery ticket, and then cash, you don't want to be the person that tries to get too cute.
And so when we do say cash, if you're looking to filter, it is this 50-50 and double up. So you're basically looking to double your money is what it means. I don't play this one a lot. I don't get excited over doubling my money. I don't know why, but Quinten, you'll have to guide us through this and hopefully we'll do okay. Which one of these contests should we play? This one's a single entry. Oh, that's a $25 fee. Let's filter that down since I don't play these a lot. Unless you like
a
the
lot of them are
$25
very
fee.
similar. Mainly when you're looking for cash things, you can even do like head to head. You can take a bunch of head to heads, but
Yes.
I like the double ups and then like a $5 double up with looking for the most entries. When you have the most entries, you're going to have kind of the most even distribution of lineups.
Do you want a single entry like this, but just a big pot, which means that the total entries are going to be large?
Yeah,
this
for
one's
cash
got-
lineups, I'm typically just doing one entry and kind of putting all my eggs in the basket. I think that'll be above average.
Because it looks like this contest, while it has more entrants, it's not single entry. And this one has 9,100, almost 9,200 total entries, but single entry. So should we do that one?
I think it's fine either way. If people want to put multiple entries, you're going to do a single entry, then
Ooh,
they
that's
might be on both
150.
sides of you. But
That's a lot of entries to be doing in a cash game, I think.
I
All
agree.
right. Let's do the single entry. These make me nervous because you don't. I don't feel like you can mess up on any of the calls here. Not too bad, anyway.
Yeah, I would agree.
Okay.
I think it's more of your expectation. Like you can kind of lose in the tournament, and not feel too bad, but this one you really want to take some pride in getting your lineup.
Definitely. All right. So lead us through what we want to do on picking here for our 50-50 contest, our cash contest.
Yeah, I think the main difference is, like I was saying, you don't want to get too cute. In tournaments, you can kind of mess around with, like I'll mess around and make lineups with the Washington Giants games and take a shot that is the game you need. This one, I'm going to be pretty tried and true. I'm going to start at the game with the highest over-under. I really like the Tampa Bay Detroit game. And looking at having pieces there. Stacking is still important in the cash game too. It's the way that you're going to have those above average lineups and need that score to be in the top half. So Mayfield and Goff, I slightly lean Goff, but kind of good going either direction. The way I've started my lineups this week has been kind of locking in Amon-Ra, St. Brown, and Cooper Kupp. Those are my two most confident plays, and then seeing what I can afford from there.
Okay. Well, let's do that. Let's go back and get Kupp. There's Kupp. So we've got Amon-Ra and Kupp. I do like then stacking him with Goff. Well, I guess if you wanted to save a little bit, you're not saving a whole lot, but I could argue for Jaden Daniels. I don't see any way he's not running for 2 more touchdowns.
Yeah, I agree. I think the Russian quarterbacks are a strong baseline, and they aren't going to fail you. Like we saw Jared Goff have 12 points last week. I don't think there's any way Daniels finishes with less than 15 just with the amount he runs.
I agree. If that game turns even remotely ugly, he'll just run. And I think he'll have a little bit more success passing this week against the New York Giants. Let's go with him and not do that stack.
I think his helmet will also stay on more this week. So maybe we'll get 3 touchdowns instead of 2.
Hopefully.
I don't think so.
Needs to tighten that up a little bit.
Just please don't let the Giants wear their costumes again for the 100-year anniversary because I can't watch it. That was painful.
So, adding on next, I really like some of the kind of workhorse running backs that are favored at home. And that brings me to James Conner again. And also Derrick Henry. I like Derrick Henry. He typically does great in wins. I think we'll get to showcase him a little bit more. We saw a lot of Justice Hill last week, but I think that was more due to Baltimore being down in a lot of that game. And they didn't really get to show off their new prize running back.
They didn't. Henry looked bad, but I will point out that even though they did use Justice Hill a lot, when they got to the goal line, they gave it to Henry.
They did.
So even if he is limited on his carries and they are running Justice Hill, all the goal line carries are going to Henry.
And what we saw against Vegas last week is Dobbins had some explosive runs, but he was always chased down at the end. Like Dobbins doesn't have the breakaway Devon A-chain speed anymore either. So I think Derrick Henry might have a lot of those steady 12-yard pickups that get him a good fantasy day.
Yeah. Okay. You got another wide receiver, or do you want to go to a different position here?
We've kind of used up a lot of our money with Daniels, Connor, Henry, St. Brown, and Cup. The next position that I think we're going to have to go the cheap option for tight end and go down to Colby Parkinson. He's all the way down at 3,100. So he's a very cheap option.
This pains me. Okay.
But I feel confident that he's not going to goose you. He's not going to get 0 points, which is something a lot of those tight ends that are around that range cannot say.
That's true. That is very true. You want to lock in a defense and see where we can save money there too?
Yeah, I'm happy going kind of cheaper on defense, but I still want a favored matchup kind of at home. So I think scrolling up a little bit, we'll kind of have to go with either Denver's defense against Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh was not impressive, or spending up a little bit more.
You know, I could go all the way to the bottom and go with the Cardinals defense.
I don't hate it. I think it'll let us get somewhat decent in the flex and wide receiver. And as long as they don't completely fail and they get a couple sacks, they'll kind of do what we need them to do in a cash lineup.
Yeah, and like I mentioned, I expect this to be on the underside and kind of a more grinding game, divisional game between these two divisional teams.
Most people that you're in this tournament with aren't going to have the defense that scores the touchdown this week.
Right.
So you really are all going to be in about the 6 to 10 point range for defense. So I'm happy going bottom and getting some savings.
All right. We're going to go down there. So now we're up to at least 4,800 average, and we've got a wide receiver and a flex. Do we have any wide receivers that are on the cheap option that you would feel confident in? And I'm going to throw out one. We talked about him together earlier off here, which was Lazard. Why do I not see?
His new team.
I'm on the wrong team. There we go. Where's the right game? I should just search for him.
think Lazard is also kind of one of those players that was affected by the pricing and what time the pricing comes out, that it doesn't really get the results from the Monday night game. But he looked like the clear second target in that offense behind Wilson. And for his cheap price point, I'd be good going him and kind of getting those Rodgers targets. I think they'll look better against Tennessee.
I think they'll look better, and Rodgers has always been one to throw to who he knows and who he feels he can rely on. So I like Lazard in that role. And then that gives us a little bit. Yeah, he does. And now we have 6,300, which is pretty respectable to go find our flex player.
So can you take us to the entire slate and check out the options there?
Sorry, that's what's wrong. I'm like, wait, there's got to be more. And let's review so far. So we've got Jaden Daniels, James Conner, Derrick Henry, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Cooper Kupp, Adam Lazard. You said it was Colby Parkinson at tight end?
It is.
My unknown tight end. and the Cardinals defense. And now we've got 6,300 for our flex spot.
So there's some interesting names. If Ken Walker plays, we know that him and Rachaad White, who's the next most affordable option, will probably be heavily involved in their offenses. I also like Zay Flowers. If you scroll down a little bit, what are some of the options? Or what name did you want to bring up?
I was just going to say, I out of those three, I like Zay Flowers. I mean, we saw him both work as a wide receiver and do some running back plays too last week. And it seemed like Lamar Jackson really liked Zay Flowers as a target.
Yeah, I agree. He was heavily involved in the short game. I think the one thing that keeps me off of Zay Flowers is in this lineup, we already have Henry. So I might try to get just a piece of another offense to build up some points for a cash lineup. And with this, I was looking more at Dave Montgomery, and Cooper was kind of standing out as well. Do you have any leans there?
I can't support anything on that Cleveland team.
Yeah.
Hey,
do you like
no.
David Montgomery in that matchup? He had a pretty good game against the Rams.
He did, but we've still got Amon-Ra, so now we're going to take two parts of it. So does that give you any pause, or I could go...
Do you like Rachaad White on the other side of the ball? We know that he's still going to catch passes. He never looks that good, but he's always on the field, and he'll probably be there regardless of if they're trailing or if it's competitive.
I don't really like him either. Especially in DK, because he doesn't catch a lot of passes.
Oh, actually, we do have enough for Chris Godwin. Can I sell you on Chris Godwin?
You can sell me on Chris Godwin, yes. Lauren, are you sold on Chris Godwin?
I don't know who Chris Godwin is.
So
Tampa Bay.
Tampa Bay wide receiver. He was great a couple years ago, and he was used more in the slot role. And last week, with the new offense, he was used a lot more in that role again. He actually had more targets than Mike Evans and should have had a touchdown, but they both went to Mike Evans. And I think if he had that touchdown, his price might be a little higher this week. But because of it, we can afford him and get him into this lineup.
Yeah, you can sell me on him.
Sounds good.
I'm excited.
Right, so we have 300 remaining. Is there anyone we'd want to move any role we want to move that 300 to?
The only places I think it would get you anywhere is defense, but I honestly don't like the defenses above the Cardinals unless you can pay way up. So
exactly.
I think we're kind of set.
All right. We're in. We'll see how we do.
So we went through 3 different styles of games. We started with the EVO. We did a tournament lineup at FanDuel, and then finally a cash outlook in the DraftKings. Do you guys have
something for everyone?
Yeah, 3 different styles, and that's kind of the nice thing about daily fantasy is you can choose what works well for you. What are you most excited to play this weekend? What are you looking forward to?
I have to admit, I'm probably most excited for the Fantasy EVO stuff because it is teams. I feel a little safer, a little less risky. I know as I'm jumping into the lineups and getting more used to building lineups, I'm really excited for the Fantasy EVO this week. I like talking through the teams.
It's something different, so that is exciting. I'm hesitant because I'm like, well, how am I going to do? But I really like that contest that we entered that was $1, a single entry, and the top 5 are going to win $100. So I like that for sure. Quinten, what's your favorite?
I'm looking forward to trying that EVO. It seemed like a really good practice to try to kind of get my head around what games are available and the higher scoring offense. So I think it's a good practice to start out with, and I'll definitely be entering a lineup. But I need some revenge on my cash lineups. I need to have it in the money this week.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Anyone playing anything tonight for Thursday night?
No, Thursday kind of scares me. I think I'm just going to enjoy the game and try to watch it more as a fan. Hopefully we get a good one.
Hopefully. I generated my 150 lineups. We'll see how that goes. There's only 750
I'm gonna
total.
be doing the fangirl free showdowns.
Yes, me too. But yeah,
Oh, I'll do a lineup in there and get entered.
sounds good.
Well, I think that wraps us up for week 2 DFS prep and lineup building. Check out the description to join us this weekend for free Sunday slate, Sunday night and Monday night contest on both Fantasy Sports EVO and FanDuel. I can't wait to see y'all there.